Greetings, folks, and welcome to today's show. Our guest today is Ms. Jennifer Moody. Jennifer has just taken over as a city administrator for Tullahoma as of September 10th, I believe. That follows, as you probably remember, the retirement of Jody Baltz after some 20 or so years in Tullahoma. So, Jennifer, welcome to Tullahoma for starters, and to the show as well. So let's before we get into the business of the city administrator, how about telling the folks, giving the folks a little background on Jennifer? Who are you, and where'd you come from, and things like that?
Okay, thank you for having me, Tom. So I guess I'll just begin. A lot of people want to know where I'm from. I grew up in Nashville. Just up the road, and my parents still live in Nashville. Kind of a funny coincidence, I went to Father Ryan High School, and since taking this position, I learned that Jody Baltz also went to Father Ryan High School. So we have a little connection there. And for me, going to a Catholic high school, I kind of look back at that part of my life as what really instilled in me a sense of service, and that a job should be more about giving back to your community and serving others. And so I think that was a really important part of my life, a foundational part of my life.
Yeah,
and I actually went from there on to college at another Catholic school, a Catholic university in Cincinnati called Xavier University. You usually hear about them around basketball season.
Yeah, I'm sorry, what's the name?
Xavier.
Xavier. Xavier.
Xavier, yes.
Okay.
Yep. In Cincinnati, Ohio. And then while I was there, I met my husband, Jason, and ended up staying in Cincinnati for a while until I decided to get a master's in public administration and went to the Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana. And at the time, I really had no idea what exactly I wanted to do. I knew that I was interested in working in government, and that a master's in public administration had been described to me as a degree that's really broad, that you can almost do anything with. You can go into nonprofits, you could go into public service at a local government level all the way up to a federal government level. We also had some individuals that were studying to be museum curators or art administrators. So there are a lot of things you can do with that degree. While I was in school, we're required to do an internship in the summer between your first and second years. And I was studying public finance, economic development, policy. And so I ended up taking an internship with the Government Finance Officers Association in Chicago, which was a great summer. I got to live in Chicago. But the main thing that I think about with that, GFOA is what more people know it as, and GFOA gives out Distinguished Budget Awards to local governments, reviews annual reports, and gives out certificates of excellence for those financial reports. And pretty much everyone in local government knows them from those awards. And what I did while I was there is write case studies on local government and how they were using performance measures, and how they were establishing best practices. And what I kept finding is every time we'd call a community to say, well, who was behind this initiative? Who would you say really should be credited with this idea? Almost every time they would say a city manager or a city administrator. And I thought, okay, who are these people? They're getting things done in communities, and I want to know more about them. And when I went back to school after that summer, I started asking questions about local government and city managers. And people would say things like, oh yeah, they're where the rubber meets the road. They're working in communities, and they, unlike federal government work where you're working on these big policies and you may never see how it actually impacts people, they were saying city managers, they get to see the results of their policy decisions because they're living in the communities and they see it. And I thought, that's for me, that's what I want to do. So I think it's kind of interesting, the path that I took. I was already studying the right thing to do what I wanted to do, even though I wasn't sure what it was.
So how did you wind up getting started?
Yeah, so right after, I had that bug in my ear that I wanted to be a city manager, I talked to one of my professors at Indiana. His name was Orville Powell, and he's a well-regarded retired city manager from North Carolina. I said, can I do this? How do I get involved? And he suggested looking for fellowships or internships in local government. So there are some well-known ones in the country. Kansas City is one that's nationally known for postgraduate fellowship programs. But here in Tennessee, we have one as well. At the University of Tennessee, there's a postgraduate fellowship program. And so knowing that I'm from Nashville and really wanted to come back to Middle Tennessee if I could, I applied for that. And I was actually the second fellow that they ever had. And my role was in Middle Tennessee. I worked for 4 city managers. They were in the cities of White House, which is a small community north of Nashville, the city of Brentwood, the city of Murfreesboro, and the city of Columbia. Oh. And so my fellowship lasted 2 years, and I rotated every 3 months between those different communities. I also spent a 3-month stint at the Tennessee Municipal League, which does work at the state capitol lobbying on behalf of municipalities. And it was just an incredible experience to get to work under 4 different managers with very different management styles in 4 different size and type of communities. And then right after the end of the 2 years, I was offered a job with the city of Columbia to be their first assistant city manager. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's kind of how that all came
there
together.
You are.
Yeah.
How long were you in Columbia?
I ended up being there for 5 years. And the manager that hired me still kind of continues to be a mentor of mine today. And we have a good relationship. But he retired after I was there about 3 years, and a new manager was hired. In the interim between his retirement and bringing on a new person, I was able to be the interim city manager and get experience, about 5 or 6 months of experience.
Fast start.
Yeah, leading the team. And then
okay, well,
it was very interesting.
All right, that's a good introduction, and we'll talk some more about her background, but first let's take a short commercial break, folks.
Ah, the glory days. Running to daylight on the gridiron and chasing a ball with a mind of its own. Cheering the team to victory and marching to the beat of your own drum. Memories that last a lifetime. But sometimes we're reminded of our glory days in ways we'd rather forget. Get back in the game. The rehab team at Life Care Center of Tullahoma is ready to help you live and play well.
Okay, so what would you bring to my company?
What do you need?
I need problem-solving skills.
I got through high school without a car, a phone, or a computer.
No college degree, though.
Not yet, but life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
We're talking today, folks, with Jennifer Moody, who is the new city administrator for the city of Tullahoma. We've been getting her background up to date, and she's in the job business of city management at Columbia. And well, let's pick up there. What else do you want to say about Columbia, and then move on to, I guess, Murfreesboro next?
Yeah, I guess I would just say, being that was kind of where I started my career, I started out doing a lot of grant management and public information, and not so much managing departments, but I grew into that over the 5 years. And I felt like it really prepared me well to take the next step. I wanted to be challenged, and I kind of jokingly tell people I got that in spades when I left Columbia, which is a community about 36,000 people and 400 employees, and joined the city of Murfreesboro as their assistant city manager, one of 2 assistant city managers that they have, and joined a team of 1,200 employees in one of the fastest growing cities in the United States. Yeah. I think roughly around 130,000 population today, but it literally grows by the week. Yeah, so, very different experience, very different communities. But I've appreciated the challenges, and I think it gives me a better perspective today, now that I'm 10 years in local government. I feel very well prepared to handle just about anything. Yeah.
Yeah. What was if there were 2 assistant city managers in Murfreesboro, you must have had specific areas that
we did. So we divided up the departments between the city manager, the assistant, the other assistant, and myself. And in Murfreesboro, there were about 20 departments. And so the areas that I was responsible for were development-related departments, so planning, codes, engineering, and then also communications and IT. Those are the ones I worked most closely with. And then I also worked with community development because I had so much experience doing community development work and grant writing and grant administration in Columbia. So that was a natural fit for me. But yeah, that's kind of how we divided the work. It's just very difficult in that size of an organization to have enough time for the manager to get enough day-to-day contact with all the departments.
Yeah. What did you say? 40? How many departments?
About 20 departments 20 and 1,200 full-time employees, not counting their city school system. So. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, and so how long were you at Murfreesboro?
I stayed there 3 years.
3, okay.
Yep.
And then, 3 years. What prompted you to move on?
A couple of things. One is the city manager that I was working for was actually the same city manager that I had worked for as an intern in that fellowship program. And in the beginning of coming to Tennessee, in Murfreesboro, he was the assistant city manager back then, and while I was in Columbia, had been promoted to city manager. And so I looked at him as another mentor, and we had a really close working relationship. And he resigned in December of last year. And just a lot of changes were taking place. The other assistant manager was retiring. We were restructuring the organization. And it just seemed like a good time to just see if I should spread my wings a little bit. And one of the recruiters, I believe Hannah Rogers, that handled the recruitment here in Tullahoma, I ran into her at a Tennessee City Managers Conference, and she said, would you be interested? Your name was thrown out by someone, and I just wanted to ask if you'd be interested in looking at Tullahoma. They are looking for a city administrator. I had been an assistant for 8 years, and I think if you'd asked me a few years back, I'd say, oh, I might be an assistant forever. I like this job. But I think it hit right at the exact time when I was already thinking in my head, I've
Maybe
done
time
this
to
for a
move up.
while, and it might be time to just see what I'm made of and
Yeah.
step into that seat more fully. And I think it is. It's all about timing. It was perfect timing
Yeah.
for me in my career
Okay, with that, let's take another short
Oh, okay.
commercial break,
Okay.
folks, and we'll talk some more about getting Jennifer to Tullahoma.
Russell Barnett Hometown Auto Rental has proudly served your auto rental for over 30 years. Check out this huge selection to choose from. Small car, mid-size car, full-size car, crossover vehicle, SUV, minivan, pickup trucks, 12 and 15 passenger vans. Whether big or small, Russell Barnett Hometown Auto Rental has them all. Stop by our 2 locations to serve you, Tullahoma and in Winchester. And remember, my question is, why rent anywhere else?
It's time for every family and business in Tullahoma to go green and recycle. Tullahoma Public Works makes it simple and easy to recycle. Just place your recyclable materials, paper, plastic, aluminum, and cardboard beside your garbage container on the same day your garbage is picked up. Your recycled materials don't have to be in a fancy container. Recycling is not only the right thing to do, it makes sense. Recycling pays. Paying to bury our garbage costs each of us. Please do your part. Let's go green, Tullahoma, and recycle.
When your family suffers the loss of a loved one, the caring and compassionate staff at Tullahoma Funeral Home and Coffee County Funeral Chapel are standing by to assist you in every way possible. We are proud to support local industry and offer only Batesville caskets. Many funeral homes don't own or operate a crematory. We utilize the only crematory in Coffee County. Your loved one never leaves Coffee County. We can accommodate any need and any budget. Consider our complete pre-need service to remove this burden from your family during their time of grief. Lock in today's low costs and protect from inflation. Tullahoma Funeral Home and Coffee County Funeral Chapel. Our family caring for your family.
Our guest today, folks, is Jennifer Moody, who is the new city administrator for the city of Tullahoma. And so we've been talking about her background, and we were just about to get into the process that brought her to Tullahoma. So let's pick up there, Jennifer.
Oh, sure. So I started researching Tullahoma to see if it might be a good fit for me. And I was really impressed with the community right away, just learning a little bit about the history, and I would say just the variety of things that are here. It's not what you would expect from a small community. We have incredible recreation opportunities. The quality of the school system definitely stood out to me, especially having a young child myself. And then Arnold Air Force Base and the history of UTSI and AEDC in the community. I thought, wow, they just have an incredible amount of stuff going on. The recent investments in that high-speed internet, to see how progressive the community is, how well run it's been for such a long time, stable leadership here. I just thought, yeah, this would be a great community for me. And so I was very fortunate to be interviewed and to get the job.
Yeah. You were, I don't remember now, how many candidates stepped up there? You were competing among how many? Do you remember? Maybe you didn't hear.
I don't remember how many applicants they had. I do remember that at some point I was one of a final 7 or so. Yeah, that maybe, if my memory serves me, I'm thinking there was 35 or 40 candidates.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
And you wound up in the what? The top?
There were different cutoff points, but I think there was a top 7 at one time, and then that was cut to a top 2, and we were brought in for final interviews, and then one was recommended and chosen by the board.
Yeah. Okay. And that was you, huh? All right. Well, let's talk about that. You have managed already to get moved from Murfreesboro?
I did. When I was offered the job, I made a commitment that I would move to the city. I really think that that's the responsible thing to do, especially seeing that a city administrator has the opportunity to make recommendations about tax rates and fees. And so it just seems responsible to live in the city and be a resident yourself if you're going to be imposing those kind of policies. So, and then again, I mentioned to you the school system was one of the things that attracted me here. So I wanted to be within the city limits and have the opportunity to send my son Max to our city schools.
Yeah.
Yep. And so about 2 weeks ago, we moved into a home here.
Yeah, very good. All right. And but your son missed getting in kindergarten this year, so he'll have to start next fall.
Yeah, and I hope that'll be an advantage. A lot of moms have told me it ends up by middle school, you realize for your son to be kind of the older one in the class ends up being an advantage. They get a little more time to mature. And
yeah, there's something to be said for that. I went through that process myself. Yeah, I was 7 before I started in first grade. Well, okay, let's talk about you're in Tullahoma now. What did you find? What have you got? Let's talk about the job.
Yeah, the job. It's really right away I found that we've got an incredibly professional staff. What I'd call our leadership team, all of the department directors, many of them are very experienced, all very well educated, very professional.
How many departments do we have?
I would say 8 departments.
8? Okay.
And kind of describe them as some are external services that we provide to the community, and the other half are kind of internal services. So we have police and fire, our largest departments, followed closely behind by our parks and recreation and public works. And public works includes all of garbage, recycling, brush collection, but also maintenance of our streets and sidewalks.
Yeah.
And our animal care and control facility.
It's a big operation.
Yeah, so it's a big operation. And then the internal service departments are administration, finance, human resources, and our community development department.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many employees do you have?
Roughly 160 employees.
Okay.
Yeah. Scattered
through, what do we say, how many departments do you have? So
scattered through those 8 departments.
Yeah, 8,
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, what do you, out of all of that, what do you consider how do you describe your primary job, your responsibilities?
Yeah, I think it helps to think of it in terms of a CEO or a general manager in the private sector. People tend to know what they do and how they run companies. It's an equivalent position in local government. We're the general manager of the company, so I handle the day-to-day operations. I take policy direction from the board of mayor and aldermen, and obviously keep in a close relationship with them. And then I'm responsible for making sure that through our practices and our procedures that we achieve the goals that the board has set, and that we, stay within the budget that's been allocated and all of that. But probably the comparison that I like best is like being a symphony conductor. Being a city administrator, I don't have to, like a conductor, I don't play all the instruments, but I help guide them and hopefully am that coordination between all of them to make sure we're all progressing and moving in the right direction.
But you do work through the department heads.
I do. They are the talented, experienced experts in their field, I would say. And then I'm sort of the link between them and the board to make sure, like I said, that they're moving in the right direction, getting goals achieved, being accountable to the vision that the community wants set.
I seem to think that ours are really pretty well experienced. I don't recall that we've had a department head change in recent moons.
Yeah, I think our newest department head would probably be our planning director, and he's 3 years. Yeah, about 3 years. So.
Okay.
But yeah, you have some with well over 20 years experience. So that's a great benefit to me to have that kind of institutional knowledge. And also,
how much help do they need from you?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, any surprises? We're going to run out of time in a minute. Any real shock cropped up yet?
I would say not any surprises. It's been going really extremely well. Just been a very welcoming community, a really welcoming staff.
Good.
Yeah. So it's going well.
Okay. Well, guess what, folks? With that, we have flat run out of time, as we frequently do. So we're going to take another short break and come back and wrap up.
It's football time in Tennessee, and nobody tackles the competition like the Russell Barnett Automotive family. With 6 locations to serve you, certified collision center, over 1,000 new and pre-owned vehicles to choose from at russellbarnett.com, hometown auto rental, limited lifetime powertrain warranty on certain units, certified pre-owned units. Too many reasons to mention why. Keep asking the question, why buy anywhere else?
So you've been meaning to do something healthy, commune with nature, get outdoors and meet new people. We have the perfect solution. Come hike with us. You can find a Tennessee Trails Association chapter near you, including Clarksville, Columbia Franklin, Highland Rim, Jackson, Knoxville, Oak Ridge, Memphis, Murfreesboro, Nashville, Plateau at Crossville, and Upper Cumberland. We're on the web at TennesseeTrails.org. It's fun, it's stress-free, and it's good for you. See you on the trails.
We're back, folks. We've been talking today with Jennifer Moody, who as of September the 10th became the new city administrator for the city of Tullahoma, replacing longtime city administrator Jody Baltz, who retired for us. So Jennifer, is there a little something you'd like to say direct to the citizens out there that are part of your community?
Well, I would just like to say thank you all for being so welcoming to me, and I am enjoying being in the community. I hope that people will continue to reach out like they already have, and give me a call or email if you have any concerns. You know, I'm here to serve you, and I would just share that on behalf of all of the city staff. Sometimes I don't think people always know what our intent is, but almost everyone that works in local government, they do this out of a calling to serve the community and wanting to make this the best place to live possible. And so we're here for you. If you need anything, reach out and give us a call.
Oh, really?
Yep.
You're inviting people to let you know what's on their mind, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you may get a few of those too.
Yes.
Okay, well, again, welcome to Tullahoma, and you have a young family, which is always delightful to see happen to the community. And so thank you very much for taking time to join us, and we will see you next time, folks. Thanks for inviting us into your parlor.